It is that time again, time to have our glorified excuse to chat with people we haven't seen in a long time, former coworkers, friends, colleagues, people that we've come across in the business. And this one, as it really should, takes us all the way back to our roots, way back in Abilene, Texas. This is where all three of us really got things rolling. And Brandon and I know you and I both worked very closely with this guy, and he's such a unique, journey where he is now with his life and how he's navigated to where he is today.
It's funny to think I was the first. Well, let's see. No, I wasn't necessarily the first number 3 you had, but Casey was the next one in line after me. And we didn't really work together that long when you think about it.
That's true.
Maybe 6-7 months ago. Yeah. Or 6-7 months altogether or something, because he was going places by the time he was done. And so Abilene to Bakersfield, San Antonio to Miami, where he is now doing his own thing. And we're going to get into that. Very excited to bring in the one and only, the host and creator, the founder, whatever you want to say, of AM Hoops on YouTube and everywhere you can get podcasts, Casey Keirnan. What's up, bud?
That's quite the intro. Thanks, man. Nothing, just working a lot and trying to watch as many games. Being on the East Coast is so tough for games. Dude,
you're a morning guy, right?
I love the mornings, yes. Tonight, the Nets and Suns tip off at 10:30 p.m.
Well, by the time this airs, that'll be very dated. But you're all.
Right. But it doesn't matter. Any night on the schedule, it's the same thing. So
maybe they'll be playing again by the time this airs. So I talked to you when you were just getting it started, AM Hoops, and man, I want to dive in a lot on AM Hoops, but let's first take us back to where things really started brewing for you as far as like your interest in sports, your interest in storytelling. Because I remember when you came to Abilene, you came in with not the approach of a sports reporter. You came in with the approach of, I want to tell stories. Like that was already a thing ingrained in your head. So take us to the beginning of when that started in your head, creating stories and your interest in sports and how that all came together in Abilene.
So this is going to be a funny story. So I graduated college. I was obsessed with soccer. And, I didn't really, I've never told this story. I didn't really like sports all that much. And I got a internship after college at Major League Soccer in their headquarters in New York City. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so, but I liked Colin Cowherd's show, and I liked these guys in LA, John Ireland and Steve Mason. And I knew that Ireland and Cowherd were both local TV reporters. And I was like, dude, I want to do what they're doing. Right. Even though I didn't really watch that much sports. And so I emailed Ireland and I said, dude, you don't know me. I listen to your show. He's the play-by-play voice of the Lakers. This dude emailed me back like 2 pages long of his experience starting out. His first market was Beaumont, Texas. And he told me what to do. And basically his nugget was, I got 75 no's before I got 1 yes for my first job. So I just sat back there in the internship in Manhattan applying for all these, no geographic restrictions anywhere in the country, And so Abilene called me or emailed me or whatever to do a phone interview. And I stepped outside that building in Manhattan, and I'm on the phone trying to listen to George Levesque and trying to do my best interview, and he offers me the job. And I go back upstairs to my other intern people, and I'm like, dude, I got this job. I'm going to talk about sports on TV. I need to learn the positions in football. And the kid next to me taught me what a center was and a guard and a offensive lineman and all that stuff, a left tackle, all that stuff. He taught me all those positions. And then I'll never forget one time I was in, it was Friday night in Abilene. And I was so new that Mike was still checking my scripts. And Mike looks at one of them and it says, he goes into the end zone, like in and out. And Mike goes, end zone? And I'm looking at him and I can tell that's not right. And I go,
end zone, right?
Dude, yeah. No. And I go, dude, no. I meant to write. And I realized what it was. It's end zone. And I go, no, I meant to write in the end zone, and I just was typing so fast that I got it mixed up.
Oh my gosh, I can't. This is amazing. This is an amazing story because I vaguely remember going, why is it
really?
this?
Do you really?
Like very vaguely, because I mean, you have those moments where, because I remember, you go through scripts with everybody who's new, and you help make sure
of course
they're set up and prepared to go. But I remember I would check your scripts, and I don't know if I remember in zone
that specific one, but yeah,
right. But I remember those moments.
But the storytelling thing was just George telling me on the phone. He goes something like, "We need to keep the grandmas who are watching for news. We need to keep them around for sports. So we need you to tell stories." That's the only. I wasn't like dying to tell stories. I just was like, okay, that's what I have to do. Got it. And I liked E60 and I liked 30 for 30s. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that kind of thing.
But didn't you have a background in film at all?
No. I majored in film.
Because Long Beach State is where you went to college.
Yeah,
right. Which is a great film school.
And I majored in film and TV production, and you're learning about lighting, and you're learning about shooting, and you're learning about editing, and so I knew how to do those things, which is a prerequisite if you're going to be on TV in a small market. You have to do everything.
Yep.
So I think that was as much about me getting that first job as anything, was having that background in those technical things.
I think what I remember specifically about you, Casey, when you first came in, and what I look back and reflect on this is as a really good positive, because it was a challenge for me as sort of like the department leader and being a leader in general, working with different people, was how much you wanted to really craft and groom these stories. And I know it's like hindsight kind of thing, but I still remember thinking back, and it challenged me to, okay, how can I make both of these work? How can I take what our thing for TV is, and take an E60 approach?
Of TV. And that was the first time doing that exact give and take with you, is the first time that I learned what it was like to do a story. First of all, I'm talking like I'd done stories before. I'd never done before, but I certainly had this E60 30 for 30 idea in my head. That is not reality in local TV at all.
Right. Because we only got 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
And I remember wanting to have the packages.
Your first draft is taking up the whole time.
Totally. Yeah. And so it was almost like, can you give me 5 seconds less, please? And like, no, I can't. So anyway, yeah.
So when I think about the great stories you did in Abilene, man, you jumped right out of the gate. I'll always remember with the great Hal Mummy, innovator of the air raid offense. You basically made a movie about him.
That is to this day one of the more memorable pieces that I remember ever coming out of that station and that department to this day, dude.
We're gonna have to dig up the archives just so people can see a little bit of that. You did some great stuff on Sports Sunday that we worked together. Anson football, tiny little town in the Abilene area. You not only went to go cover them like for a random story, and then you came back and you pitched to Mike, hey, what do you think of me like following Anson for like a whole day and telling like this underdog team that was 0-10 just a season or two ago is now in like the playoff mix. And you did like this mini documentary about them making the playoffs. And Mike loved it so much, he was like, follow them for their first round of the playoffs.
For the first round of playoffs.
That was nuts.
And it's so funny because I look at that and I'm just like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was trying to do, there was no track. There was no reporter. It was like I
kept trying to convince you to do a stand-up, and you're like, no, why would I do a stand-up?
What an idiot. Like,
you refused to do a stand-up.
It was so stupid. Like now that I look at it, like any sports report, I would be inserting myself into it, having track leading you from here to here. But for some reason, I don't remember why, I just wanted to do it all with them. It was so weird when I look back.
It was like Hard Knocks. You were trying to create a Hard Knocks.
It was like Hard Knocks. That's what it is. I remember watching Hard Knocks for the first time and being like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So, yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, we get inspiration from so many different places. Scott Van Pelt was that on-air inspiration for me. And I mean, that's what makes us reporters. That's what helps craft and mold us, is finding those moments and those people and those stories of inspiration. Right. Yeah. And figuring out, I like this. How can I use an element of that, but still be me or still work on my storytelling?
Totally. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I want to look forward a little bit too, because Brandon, you and I have been really interested to pick Casey's brain about what he's doing now. So let's fast forward. You've jumped around a little bit to a few different places. Shout out to Bakersfield, and then you're in Miami now.
San Antonio in between that too.
Right, San Antonio in there too.
Which I got a San Antonio question or two at some point.
Yeah.
Let's go to Miami. Yeah.
But so take us to where you are now and how AM Hoops sort of came to be, and it's your brainchild, and how did you sort of mold it, create it, and build this foundation?
Well, I don't know if I think to tell that I would have to explain the end of what happened at CBS, because that's part and parcel of the whole reason why I'm even doing this. So I guess we would go back to San Antonio later. I don't care if it's out of sort of linear order, but so what happened was this CBS Sports was starting their own version of SportsCenter, ESPN SportsCenter, but they wanted to do it online only. And so it's called CBS Sports HQ. And so they fly me in and they interview me. And I interviewed really well for a job that I was not qualified for at all, whatsoever. And so now the thing was, though, that they didn't know this, right? I knew this. I knew it in the pit of my stomach that I am not ready for this at all.
Now, so are you saying that because it was an anchor job? Why are you saying that?
No, because it was a die-hard sports job.
Okay.
Die hard.
Gotcha.
So I get there and I am in the deep end and I'm struggling to swim, and it's apparent to everyone. And I would drive home every day just like, God damn it, this sucks. And so I really would, dude. So it was like my producer in my ear every day, 25 years at SportsCenter producing. He launched NFL Live, all this stuff. And now he's producing me, who just learned sports 7 years ago. And
yeah, which is really not that long ago at that
And
point.
I'm working with all these people that I watched on SportsCenter. And I'm interviewing, Brady Quinn, Danny Cannell. I'm working with them. I'm working with basketball players like Raja Bell, Rip Hamilton. And I suck for the first year. And then for the second year, I was pretty good, right? And I had kind of caught up. But the first impression was totally made. Like the decision makers there had decided, if it wasn't for a contract, I would have been out. But they had already decided, we are not going to re-sign this kid. So even though, in my humble opinion, I had caught up by the second year, it didn't matter. So when the day they told me I wasn't coming back was crushed. It's I'd never been let go before or not re-signed or whatever, not wanted back. But I'm so grateful for that time because I got to experience what that's like. I think when I first got into the job, I did not envision what local news was. That's not what I really wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was be on SportsCenter. And this was 2 years of essentially being on SportsCenter. It was awesome, right? I love the people that I worked with, the experiences that I had, the fact that it made me get so much better at that specific craft was awesome. I did get to work shoulder to shoulder with these people who elevated my game, even though it was painful for them and the company. It was beneficial to me. And again, I made great relationships. So if I was to go back, I'd do it again. It was awesome. So the guy tells me, what I think you should do to keep your skills sharp is start a podcast. And so I started a podcast and I started the YouTube channel as well because I don't remember why. But then after a while, it was clear that video is that's my game. I'm not a podcast person. And the YouTube started to gain traction and the podcast stayed stagnant. So, once you hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, it starts to get monetized and you make money. And the whole time, Kristen is my wife is this is not a real job. You cannot do this. And I'm looking for jobs and I have an agent and, everyone hates their agent. I don't hate my agent, but everyone doesn't like their agent when they're not getting a job. You know what I mean? It's then when they get the job, they have a great agent. It's so stupid. So,
right.
And so I'm battling that. I'm worried. And then all of a sudden the checks from YouTube get bigger and bigger. And then eventually the checks from YouTube catch up to what I was making at CBS. And the the viewership and the subscribers are going, and I'm learning more about what it takes to be successful. It's not just content, but it's being an entrepreneur. You're your own boss, you know? And so at some point, I stopped looking for a job and I could just do this full time.
Is this before the pandemic, or is the pandemic has already started?
No, I think the turning point was when the Jordan documentary came out.
Yes.
Because I was able to do these reviews of it, and having my film school background helped a lot. Because my reviews could be a little more informed than the average person. So doing those reviews every morning after the new episodes came out was great. I thought of a question I had. Why are Michael Jordan's eyes yellow? Like, what is that? And I was like, those ideas you get right before you fall asleep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you have to write it down.
Notepad of the phone.
Yeah. So I wrote that down, and that video got like 1.5 million views, right? And that was my first video that got that kind of number, and that helped. So I think the Jordan document, whatever time that was.
Well, that was like April.
Yeah, that was definitely a turning point for the YouTube, for sure.
So you are up to, last I checked, over 24 million views total on the channel, over 100,000 subscribers, which was a very big deal. You posted a video specifically dedicated to that and thanking the viewers, thanking the fans. Yeah. I'm going to brag a little bit that I was one of the maybe first dozen subscribers.
I may have shot you a text.
Mike landed on that, but I was one of the first ones, so no big deal.
That's great.
I'm curious, when you look back to the beginning of this journey of the podcast and the AM Hoops channel, when you think to all you've been doing, what are the biggest skills that you gained from the time you were in Abilene up to Miami that became useful for the YouTube channel? Because you are doing something completely different. You're not anchoring, you're not doing any live reporting anymore, but there are elements of what you were doing that you're applying to the YouTube stuff.
Yeah, it's so funny because they're two different skill sets, but the crossover skill set is the ability to tell a story, which to me, you could do like lists on YouTube that do well, but if you can add a story and an emotional element, it really hooks people. I think just the voice, the vocal delivery is something that you kind of groom through the years.
Yeah, finding your voice. So you've definitely done that too. Yeah,
yeah.
For sure.
Just kind of having a broadcast style, because when you look at the NBA YouTube space, a lot of the people kind of have like a college dorm room style, not to disparage anyone, but it helps to have eight years of professional broadcast training in that space. So I think it's just the style of it. Now, the skill set for YouTube is so unique. So before, when I'm on just traditional TV, my paycheck is the same no matter how many people watch. I'm not really aware of what the ratings are. Maybe I am, I don't know. The only person I really care about is my boss. He's got a desk in an office at the corner of the thing. Now my boss is the audience. And now I know exactly how many people are watching all the time. And what they say goes. Confession, I don't really care about LaMelo Ball all that much. I kind of do, but not that much. But dude, I better do a LaMelo Ball video once in a while.
Yeah,
right? Even if I'm not,
you figured out what attracts the audience.
Yes, I can't tell them what works. They don't care what I think. I have to figure out what they think and then give that to them. And that's the thing, is like, I can't do a story about Kelly Olynyk on the Heat. It has to be about Tyler Hero. If there's a Miami Heat story, I have to figure out how that story relates to Hero. Has to. Same thing on the Nuggets. If it's a Nugget story, I have to figure out, how does this relate to Michael Porter Jr.? That is who they care about. It's more about people than it is about teams. It's crazy. So there's so much to learn about this game, and a lot of it has to do with what works, what's going to hit, what's going to get clicks. Whereas before, I just look into the camera and talk and go home, drive home. That's it. And the paycheck looks the exact same. So anyway, yeah.
So then you go from, this was the other thing that, you notice in YouTube videos and so on social media, very short, quick. In TV, we call them jump cuts, where it's like Casey's on one side of the screen. Now jump cuts, he's on the other side. You have to use that and keep it sort of moving quickly. Given the 8 years that you had of working in TV, you're trained and tuned into doing it one way. Was it difficult? Was it a process to get used to that adjustment on YouTube?
No, I don't really do too much of I do fast-paced editing when there's just video involved, but when I'm on screen, I don't do that like cut, jump cut thing. I just talk and it works. Okay. There are people like there's this kid, Kenny Beecham, and there are a lot of NBA YouTubers. I really respect this kid. Like he could work anywhere. He's awesome. And he literally has a channel called Kenny For Real, where it's just him. He doesn't do editing and shit. And literally he just sits there and talks, and it gets like 500,000 views. Because people care about what this kid thinks. Yeah, no, and he doesn't have like overtly hot takes. They know his story. They feel like they think he's cool because he dresses cool, all this stuff. He seems like a good dude. And they just want to know what he thinks. It's awesome. It's that Colin Cowherd thing. It's the Dan Patrick, all that stuff. For Mike, it's the Scott Van Pelt thing. It's like, well, what does Van Pelt think about that? Or the best thing is if something happens in the sports world, I think, oh, I wonder what Cowherd thinks about that. Like this dude's in my head.
Yeah.
Like what is it about that personality and this kid has it, and that's something that I would like to have and develop or whatever. But, I don't think the jump cut thing is a prerequisite to being good on YouTube. I think there are some things that are timeless, and that sort of cult of personality thing that those guys have, that works too.
So in this community of like sort of the NBA YouTubers and that, these guys that you talk about, like, have you been able to reach out and sort of connect with any of them, like develop community?
No. No, because in one of the big strategies to growth on YouTube is collaboration. I think we all know that, but for me, it's funny. I've been picky, and then like there will be people who I don't like. I just mentioned that kid that I respect. There are some people that I don't like their style. I don't think that they're very good, and I don't know what it is, but I just don't want to collaborate with those people. And so I don't. And the people who I have reached out to probably are their subscriber base. Someone said that the key to a collaboration is making it more beneficial for them than it is for you. But how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you pitch?
Especially
how do
when
you
you're a
pitch that?
newcomer.
And how do you pitch that to someone and figure out how to make it more beneficial for them? I'm not sure. I haven't cracked that code yet. So if I'm waiting for the right opportunity for a collaboration, I haven't hit on that yet.
So when you first started this project, one of the things you said you were going to attempt to do is watch every single game every single day.
That was so dumb. It's just so dumb. It's like,
it's crazy. I'll say that, but I wouldn't say it's dumb because
I did that for like
doing is working.
No. I used to do that for the podcast, and I did that for 6 months. And my whole thing was like, I got to do a niche that no one else is doing.
Yeah. And
what that is a recap of everything that happened last night. So when you get in your car in the morning, you can listen to your AM hoops and just hear a 5-minute recap of every game if you love the league. So that's what I did for like 6 months. I have all these TVs here in this room. Right. And it was just awful, dude. It was dry.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah, there was no there was no personality. It was dry. It was a lot of work. And I wasn't seeing a huge traction on that idea.
Yeah.
It was shitty. And I was going to bed at like 2 a.m. And it's like, dude, I don't have to drive into a studio. I don't have to wear a suit every day to work. Why am I still staying up until 2 a.m.? Why am I doing that to myself? The beauty of working on this internet space is also a good lifestyle, a pretty cool lifestyle.
That's great, man. It's great. You have that mentality. That's great.
Right. But it was a really dumb idea initially. And I threw that out after 6 months because the YouTube took off.
Yeah. Because YouTube stuff. So,
thank God.
So even to look, now you shifted over from the every game, every day to now it seems like it's at least one video a day. Is that basically the goal? And look, that takes discipline. That still takes some motivation. You can have a day where you're like, I'm going to take a day off. But you don't seem to do that.
No, I totally missed it when you asked what skills cross over. Deadlines. Like, I mean, dude, if you're putting
but
on
your own, you did that on yourself. Like, I'm making
right, but dude, for 8 years, if you're putting on your TV makeup, and it's fucking 6:19, you're like, oh shit. We've all had that feeling.
Yeah,
we've all had that feeling of like, oh god, they're in the commercial and I'm just now putting my tie on, right? And then you have to run out, and so I've worked under that kind of deadline. And if you don't know what we're talking about, sports starts at 6:24 whether you're there or not.
Yep.
And you better be there.
right.
And so working on that deadline every day, it's like, dude, every day I get up, I research from 9 to 11, I write from 11 to 12, I film from 12 to 1, and I edit from 1 to 4, and I upload at 4. And that's it. So that's another skill that crossed over, is that deadline.
Wow. I remember. So I work in an engineering field now, but for the longest time, those things that are ingrained in you about deadline and making sure you have all your stuff in, is it done? And we got to move quick.
The little details. Yeah.
The little details, those little things, from something that is so short-term focused to a job now that's more long-term, and you can take 3-4 days to do something. It was so hard to get out of that, but you're trained. It is just etched in stone in your brain.
Right. Yeah. So that helped me a lot for sure. And I think it was a big help in terms of differentiating myself and growing quickly, was being able to, I'm not used to, I watch all these YouTubers. They don't tell me they're dropping a thing every day at 5 p.m. That's different, And so I think that kind of was unique in the space as well.
All right, Casey. So now we're going to jump into this segment we call the lightning round.
The lightning round.
This is established as the coolest part of the show, frankly, because I said it's the coolest part of the show.
It is,
but it is. It's 10 questions. We aren't going to ask you to answer on the spot, because this turns out to be one of the most fun segments of the entire thing that we do. But it's 10 questions, 10 answers. We do a dive on everybody's social media to see sort of what they're talking about and what their interests are in that. So we'll start it off, because we all have that Abilene connection. What do you miss about covering Texas sports?
The smaller teams. You mentioned Anson, and I really did enjoy the way that they're more grateful to get that coverage, and how close you can get to them and meeting those people. And I do miss that and those people.
That is, yeah.
Anson, Stanford, Monday, Hamlin.
Dude, that kid's on the Pittsburgh Steelers. James Washington.
Yes. Hey, did you hear Jim Ned won state this year too?
Jim Ned.
No way. Are you serious?
They were bad when we were there.
Yep.
They were. Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Okay. Moving on. Do you have a favorite Abilene sports memory?
Yes. And this is going to be just completely random and is going to make sense to no one. What high school did your wife go to again, Mike?
Breckenridge.
That's it. Breckenridge. So I was covering a Breckenridge. This is nothing, but this is just in my head. The Breckenridge field looked so much different than all the other fields. And I remember there was like a giant brick wall, like some building. It was a giant
behind an end zone.
And it reminded me of being in like England or at like an old school like soccer game, like Division II. I know that doesn't make any sense, but I remember when I was there, it felt like it was in another place. And I just remember enjoying being at those games on those sidelines for some reason. I don't know why.
There are so many great Texas high school football stadiums out there that nobody really knows about. Like Breckenridge is known because they have the pump jack right outside the entrance as you come in. And then you've got like, there's a stadium back in El Paso that is just renowned for its like its 1950s or 1890s, whatever architecture.
Yeah.
But so many hidden gems.
Yeah.
Okay. How heavy is your sports heart after the last year of chaos in Houston?
I don't have that much of an emotional connection to Houston anymore, unfortunately. I moved away when I was 18. As far as the Rockets go, the James Harden era wasn't fun to root for. I used to root for them before Harden got there and all the years before that, but his whole thing, everything there kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. So, and then the Texans, I grew up and it was the Houston Oilers and then they left.
Yep.
And then the Texans were founded in 2004, and I left in 2005. So I didn't grow up with a NFL team either.
Okay, that's fair. So this one, there are obvious NBA names out there that everybody knows, everybody wants to talk about. LeBron is obviously the biggest name in the NBA that people talk about really across the world. But who is the NBA player that generates the most hits that is not named LeBron?
Oh, well, LeBron doesn't even generate as many hits. Right now, I mean, the biggest guys are Tyler Hero, but his star is falling a little bit. Trae Young, Luka Doncic is way up there. The key is to have a young guy, a young player. Who's a see, in this rookie class, not that great. James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, that's it.
Yeah,
Cool.
I was going to say. All
right, I got onto it. Yeah. It's LaMelo.
Yeah,
What people love are young, flashy players. That's what people love.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why Derrick Rose is the king of all of that. Derrick Rose is number one. He has, real quick, Rip Hamilton played with Derrick Rose and Michael Jordan. And he told me that the fanfare for Derrick Rose was equal to, if not more, than Michael Jordan. When they would get off the team bus, people there, I couldn't believe it. And he couldn't explain it, and I can't explain it either.
Well, but he also played with Jordan at the tail end of his career, and then Rose at the beginning. So I bet if he was with Bulls MJ, he probably wouldn't have said that. But
dude, it's still cool. MJ. But yeah,
still MJ though. Yeah, that's true.
Given the media swirl and the drama that comes with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, they're all on the same team now. How much do those three deserve each other after the drama that's surrounded their careers in the last few years?
That's a good point. They wanted it this way. It's Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted a team to go to where they could call the shots.
Yeah.
So they wanted a place where they could make the decisions on personnel, on the coach, all that stuff. If you go to, say, the Miami Heat, like when LeBron, a lot of people think, oh, Le GM, I remember the chant when Lonzo was at the free throw line as a Laker, LeBron's going to trade you, so LeBron has that, he has that reputation. But no, LeBron's first decision was to go to the Heat, where there's no doubt Pat Riley is in charge.
Yeah.
Eric Spoelstra is in charge. He went to a place to win his first titles that had very strong, powerful leadership. And Kyrie, KD, and Jet, they all want to go to a place where they run the show. And personally, I don't think it's going to work out. I think they're going to crash and burn.
I'm with you on that. Most overrated NBA player today. If there's like a 1A, 1B or something, you can name.
Yeah. It would honestly, to me, the thing that goes into creating a overrated player is a one-way player, and it's always offense. So Zach LaVine is way overrated to me. D'Angelo Russell, God. Yeah. Any of these guys who are just one-way players, they came up through AAU. They got big pats on the back for how many points they scored, and they figured,
one and done guys.
I don't need to learn defense. I just don't. And it's true, they didn't need to learn defense their whole life. But now that they're in the league, Trae Young, another one, huge lead over. This kid was an all-star starter, and it's another year. Remember, everyone said, "Oh, they won the offseason. Look at all the help they got him." They're in 11th place. They were favored by 2 points last night. They lost to 11 by the Knicks. So, and he's their foundation. He's so overrated. It's horrible.
I like that. You and I have both been through this stage in life where we've had shaved heads. Mine was last spring. I don't remember how long ago yours was, but I got to ask the question: shaved head or longer cut?
I look better with shorter hair, even though I want to be one of those cool long hair guys. I look back at photos. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You cut your hair. So shorter hair for sure.
But like this short, not bald short.
No. Yeah, this short.
And that was a bet? Didn't you lose a bet or something?
I did. Yeah, I did. I said with the viewers. So in the first warm-up exhibition bubble game, Bull played and he scored 16 points. And all the YouTubers' videos were, oh my God, Bull is going to be MVP. He's going to be an all-star. I said, he's not going to be shit. At least for this year, he's not. rookies don't play in the playoffs. They don't contribute in the playoffs. This kid played well in an exhibition bubble game against the Wizards, who didn't bring any of their good players. And so I said, he won't score 16 points total the rest of the bubble. And he scored 16 because they had blowout games where he got to play garbage time. So I lost the bet, but I was right, but it didn't matter.
Your word still. I respect that.
How did your viewers sort of take that? Like, did they enjoy watching you sort of?
Loved it. And it's still an inside joke between me and some viewers who remember that. And I live streamed when he was at like 14 points. When he got checked in the game, I hit the live stream on and we had like thousands of people watching. And when he hit the shot, I was devastated. And then we live streamed the cut, and then we got the cut sponsored by Manscaped. So it was a good thing.
How many sponsors you got on AM Hoops now? You got a couple, don't you?
Yeah, I've worked with probably 15 different companies, and I work with a agency called Green Room, and they kind of broker those deals. And so, yeah.
Very cool, man. That's a whole nother part of the beast that you've tackled very well. That's very hard to do, to handle the business side of it. So
yeah,
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Moving on to the life we live outside of work. I know you're a guy who's traveled in the past. You've been to some pretty cool places, but what's your best recommendation for a tropical vacation, domestic and international?
Domestic is Hawaii.
Okay.
Gotta be.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like Kauai.
Dude, I was there a little over a year ago.
Yeah, it's an island I've been to. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Kauai is
chill,
amazing.
Right? Yeah. And there's a restaurant called the Beach House, and it's just the perfect kind of combination of view and food and all that stuff.
Where is that? Like, where on the island?
I don't even know the streets. Where on the island? It's by the beach. I don't know.
Good
I don't know.
Narrows it down. Just walk along the beach and you'll find it.
International. I mean, look, the most exotic place I went was Thailand, and they have so many tropical things there. But I really like Cabo.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's nice. That's
Cool.
nice. Okay. Brandon, at some point in his life, is going to end up getting married when this whole pandemic thing doesn't, goes away.
Sometime this decade. Yes.
Sometime this decade. I've made it a point of asking sort of as often as I can, what marriage advice would you have for Brandon? And the most common one is your wife is always right. But what would you say to him?
I can't give marriage advice to Brandon. I would just say I wish I had a funny answer to that, because that's a funny question, but I don't have one, so I'll just have a serious one. I would say that not keeping stuff in my head and calmly, and also being patient.
Yes.
And instead of saying anything out of emotion, I wait till I'm calm to bring it up.
Yeah.
That is
Pretty much
one,
do that.
That's
good
one
advice.
You're a very chill dude. I should be taking advice from Brandon. Brandon has it all together in that.
We
sport.
have been together for 6 years, so we do feel married. I will say that. Plus, we have a child. But no, that's a good one though.
All right. Moving on to the 10th question. This is one we ask everybody.
Yeah.
What is your favorite movie that you are most ashamed to admit?
Guilty pleasure.
for movies.
And you're a big movie fan. You see a lot of movies, don't you?
Yeah. Oh man, one that one that I just saw recently is this movie called Roadhouse. Have you seen this thing?
Yes.
Dude, it's a piece of crap, right?
Yes.
It's a total piece of crap. You know why I like it? Because I think that Patrick Swayze is cool as shit.
Yes, he is.
Easy. Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
What?
I feel like that's considered a classic movie. Maybe more.
No, dude, it's a total crap movie, dude.
There's a lot of crap movies that are considered.
But
everybody, you're right. So I'll say that I'm a very snobby movie pro. Like I would totally judge someone for liking that movie, but I enjoyed it.
I'm with you. Everybody loves it because there's so much kicking and slow motion kicking in the movie.
Dumb.
I know.
I usually
It's
hate that
corny.
kind of stuff.
It's a bit corny.
Totally, dude.
Okay.
Very. Okay,
you got a bonus, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Awesome.
we reserve the bonus question for very unique circumstances. This is definitely one of them. And Brandon, this is all Brandon's idea. So we want to take it and test your social media hashtag knowledge. We're gonna list off different NBA teams, and I want to see if you know their hashtag, their team hashtag.
Did you get this from the fact that I use those?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
use those team. Okay, cool.
You use them a lot, so
We'll see.
I've got high expectations.
And
for
by
you.
the way, it doesn't help anything. No one like hooks onto my tweet because of that.
Oh, I know.
Hashtags are so overrated.
It at least
Has
gets
it
me
ever
to,
helped anyone?
It gets me to stop and look at your posts more. I'll say that.
Okay.
I don't
Because
know if
there's
I
a
like
little
them more.
emoji attached to it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nicer to look at.
It
Yeah.
depends on the fan base. I've noticed it works with some fan bases. It doesn't with others.
Got it.
But okay, we'll start off Portland.
What are you doing?
He's
I'm
thinking.
thinking I don't know. Blazer up. Blazer. Nation.
You were close. You were close with the
Rose?
when you went for it. Rip City.
Yeah.
Oh, Rip City, of course.
Yes.
That was so dumb. What
Oh,
a
for
dumb-
one, dude. Come on, man.
God.
Okay.
Making me look bad. Come on, man.
Okay, Minnesota Timberwolves.
These are good ones.
Yeah, dude. Okay, Timberwolves. He will say, what is their like slogan? Their slogan is, I don't know.
I have no idea on this one. I'm
Me
trying to look
neither.
it up.
It's like, I don't know. What is it?
Raised by Wolves.
Oh, get out of here! Come on.
Some of these are super cheesy.
It's a good U2 song.
Yes. Okay. Utah Jazz.
Take note.
Yep, that is
Oh,
correct.
that was nice. Okay.
See,
so
you know why? Because the Timberwolves are irrelevant and the Jazz are very relevant.
That's true.
So I don't ever use the two. All right.
Charlotte Hornets.
All fly.
Yes.
Offline, nice. All right.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
Thunder up.
Yep.
Nice.
Nice.
Toronto.
I mean, it's We the North, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Phoenix Suns.
Valley Boys? No, that was their old one.
Ooh.
It used to be Valley Boys with a Z. Now it's gonna be something like.
Still with the Valley. I'll give you that hint.
Oh,
Valley's in it.
really?
Valley's in it.
Dude. Valley up? I don't know.
We are the Valley.
We are the Valley.
Another cheesy one.
Yeah.
Indiana Pacers.
That's a tough one.
Is it something like grown? Their court says we grow basketball. Because it's like corn, you know?
Yeah, and it's like the basketball state. Always game.
Come on.
So you've got four right, four wrong.
Okay.
so
Okay.
far.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
I don't know.
Be the fight.
So dumb.
And
we don't associate that phrase.
You got a chance to go 500 here. Come on.
Okay. Milwaukee Bucks.
Fear the deer.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Was that game? That's it? That's game?
Yeah, that's all 10.
That was
Baseball
good.
wise, that's 500 bad.
That was
average.
fun,
That's pretty
man.
good.
Great, yeah.
That was just
That's
fun.
tough.
We're shooting threes. Even from the field, it's decent if you're a jump shooter.
Not bad, man.
Cool.
Basketball, that's a great percentage period. I'll take that
Yeah,
any
great.
night.
Yeah.
Brandon, we've done it. Take us home, dude.
Dude, this has been a blast. So this is season 2. Also, we didn't mention that in the beginning. This is episode 2 of season 2. But when Mike and I months ago started thinking about doing this and making a list, right there at the beginning, we were like, Casey, we got to get Casey in here
Heck
at
yeah.
some point. So, man, we're honored. We're so proud of you to see what you're doing, and we're honored to hang out with you tonight, and spend some time talking shops, reflecting on some ups and some downs of your life. Man, it's great to see you doing what you're doing and doing it on your own, man. I mean, that is very commendable. And you mentioned the success you've gotten to, the level you've gotten to, all on your own, man. I mean, just it's awesome. I know I've said it a couple of times, but very proud of you, and
Same.
we really appreciate the time, dude.
I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
It was a blast, man. Going back all those years, I'm glad we could get you on. Glad we have a glorified excuse to see your face and chat sports with you again.
That's a really funny intro tagline that you have. Our glorified excuse to catch up with people. That's great.
Why not? We'll have some fun with it.
So we usually end it with like a drink in hand and a cheers. Do you have like a water? You have your big old water jug.
Do it.
Right? We usually end the show with a cheers and not even on purpose, but I remember all the Chick-fil-A we would go get.
Yes.
Abilene. So and we're not sponsored by Chick-fil-A, so they're not getting anything out of this except just for a small plug and just a little cheers and a thank you, good sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, buddy.